ich heiße Andrea.
Hallo, ich heiße Lisa.
Und wir kommen zum deutschen Radioprojekt. Heute unser Thema ist Dating. Und erzähl uns ein klein bisschen über dich, Lisa, bitte.
Ich komme aus Schweden, aber meine Mutter ist von Deutschland. So jedes Jahr im Urlaub fahren wir nach Deutschland und besuchen unsere Verwandten. Ich habe einen Onkel in Stuttgart und meine Tante wohnt in Berlin. So, und wie ist es mit dir?
Okay, so, meine Mutter, halb von meiner Familie kommt aus Deutschland und jeden 2 Jahre besuchen wir meine Familie in Koblenz und Frankfurt. So, jetzt können wir beginnen. Ja. So, how is dating in Sweden as well as in Germany, like in comparison to America, would you say?
Okay, so how is it in America?
I think it's like typically first date, guy picks up the girl, meets the parents, you know, he asks her permission, like, will you go out with me? It's very formal. Mm-hmm. But I've heard that's actually looked at as a little strange.
Yeah, I would agree with that. In Sweden and Germany, it's more common to meet up at the place where you're having your date, like for example a cafe or restaurant, and I mean it's not so common to pick her up, and especially not at her parents' house. That would be like awkward, I think. So, but I mean, a nice gesture from the guy's side would be to drive her home after the day. But also some guys pick girls up, but I think that's more like the gentleman guys. It's not the standard for dating.
Okay, definitely very different then. So typically, where do you meet guys in Germany? I also spoke to another student, Jana, and she comes from Switzerland, but she does visit Germany quite often. And she told me that typically she'd heard on the radio that #1 place to meet guys was actually in the workplace. And she'd met her long-term boyfriend through friends. So, but I've also heard you go to clubs too to meet guys, so I don't know. So how is it for you?
Well, it's very individual, of course, but I think workplace and college or university, I think almost, I mean, it's a very big percent that meets their partner through college. That's a very common place. And also in Sweden we have student unions and they arrange parties, so that's a very common place to meet with partners. And also the club is common, but I think that's not so much for a serious relationship. It's more, you can also meet them through friends. Yeah, I think it's like Jana and Isabella said.
Okay, so do guys typically ask girls out, or is it more common for the girls to ask the guy out? Because here I think it's looked at, the girls sort of have to sit back and wait on the guys to come to them. Otherwise it looks like they're being too aggressive and it doesn't usually work out. So what do you think?
I think that's the opposite in Sweden and Germany. Although the girls actually do expect boys to come from the front to them, but boys are very shy.
Yeah.
I've noticed, and it's not that common. I mean, some boys do, but they tend to like when girls make a move on them. So it's really,
wow.
It's very different, I would say. But it also comes from that the guys are shy, because the girls really prefer that the guys comes to them, but if they don't, nothing happens. So
yeah.
Then yes.
Yeah, I have there's a popular German group called Wissen, and they have a song called Orly, and it actually talks about a beautiful girl who is in Germany and who's not used to the culture and doesn't realize that the German guys are actually interested in her, but it's like because they're so subtle, that it's impossible to see. And in the song, the lyrics say, Ach Olli, in Deutschland braucht die Liebe Zeit. Hier ist man nach Tagen erst zum ersten Schritt bereit. Die nächsten Wochen wird gesprochen, dich aufgründig berochen und erst dann trifft man sich irgendwo zu zweit. So basically, it takes weeks for a guy to make a move and weeks for you guys to finally go on a date. So would you agree you kind of have to make the move in Germany and other countries?
I would agree on that. If it's more like everyday life, yeah, I would agree because boys are shy in general, but of course there are exceptions. Yeah.
Yes. And okay, so is it true that it's a lot more normal for there to be sex on the first date, or is that just a misconception? And because I'd say here, sex on the first date is viewed as sort of like unacceptable, or like you get sort of like it's viewed as sort of skanky.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I've heard it's the exact opposite.
Well, it's very individual. It's not really seen as skanky as long as you don't do it like a lot. But one-night stands are widely accepted, I would say. It's not a big deal. But if you're if you want a serious relationship, I think it's more common to wait at least like until a couple of days has gone. But
a couple of days, I like that.
Yeah, so I think it's much more common with one-night stands, and it's not seen as, I mean, some people do see it as a skanky thing, but it's much more accepted, yeah.
Wow.
And it's very common.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, which dating style do you think is easier after what you've seen or experienced here and in Europe, back home?
Yeah, I would say then if you're a girl, it's easier to be in America since guys come to you. You don't have to make the move on your own. But if you want to have sex, it's better to go to Europe because it's more accepted. So, yeah.
All right. Okay. So that's it for our topic today on dating. So bis zum nächsten Mal. Tschüss.
Tschüss.